Secretary General asserts that the operation of getting rid of chemical weapons in Syria continues easily through the full cooperation of the Syrian government. Units of the Syrian army continue to storm terrorist hideouts, killing large numbers of them, most of them non-Syrians. A comprehensive national plan throughout the country is put into action to save children with vaccines against polio. Good afternoon. Welcome to a news bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. In an interview with the Turkish TV channel Ulusal, the Prime Minister asserted that Syria was advancing towards victory against terrorism in all its types and launching pads. Mr. Al-Halaqi pointed out that Erdogan's government turned Turkey into a party in the aggression on Syria through giving the terrorists shelter and logistic and financial support. He also asserted that many countries that joined the war on Syria were making new considerations. He asserted that Syria would go to the Geneva II conference and that any ideas agreed upon with the opposition would be put for referendum by the Syrian people. After over 2 years of daily terrorist attacks, there was a shy international attitude towards the great human catastrophe of sick people whose suffering increased after the destruction of more than 60% of government hospital and the burning and looting of ambulance vehicles. A common statement issued by international officials, the Executive Director of UNICEF, Anthony Laik, and the General Director of the World Health Organization, Margaret Chan, and the Coordinator of the UN Relief Affairs, condemned attacks on medical institutions in Syria and the victimization of sick people and their doctors and nurses. These attacks constitute war crimes in international law. The statement stressed the necessity of protecting medical institutions and allowing their crew to offer medical and surgical care to the patients. The Syrian Ministry of Health called upon the international community to stop targeting health institutions because the attacks damaged 60 hospitals, 25 medicine factories, more than 400 ambulance vehicles and 650 health centers, in addition to the death of dozens of medical employees. The Minister of Health, however, asserted that the medical institutions, both public and private, continued to offer their services to all Syrians throughout the country. The Ministry of Health attained the first position in the whole Middle East by the end of 2009, according to the World Health Organization. The British paper, the DailyTelegraph, revealed the fact that a Moroccan went to Syria with his 5 sons to fight with the terrorists. The paper said that large numbers of families from all over the world went to Syria to join the extremist fanatic gangs. The paper quoted Shiraz Mahir, the expert in the International Centre to Study Political Violence in King's College in London, as saying that many families from Caucasia and Asia crossed into Syria. The coordinator of the EU against terrorism, Jill de Kershaw, warned against the increasing number of fighters returning from Syria to Europe and constituting a real danger. The Tunisian Minister of the Interior, Lutfi bin Jeddo, asserted that the spread of jihadi fornication in Tunisia was the result of fatwas by the theorists of fanatic thinking. A Tunisian electronic paper asserted that 7 Tunisians were killed while they were fighting under the so-called Islamic State in Iraq and the Levant, which belongs to Al-Qaeda in Syria. Leading terrorist gangsters from Tunisia and Pakistan were killed, with dozens of terrorists in the northern countryside of Latakia. In the countrysides of Damascus, Al-Nabik, Latakia and Aleppo, the Syrian army carried out intensive and successful operations in the eastern Ghouta. The army destroyed terrorist hideouts and killed many of them in those countryside and in the western highlands of Al-Zabadani in ambushes. To the south of Ennebuk, the terrorists sustained heavy casualties during clashes that led to the destruction of their weapons and hideouts. In Aleppo, armed forces foiled a terrorist attempt to attack Kindi Hospital and the environs of the Aleppo Central Jail, destroying their hideouts and killing large numbers of them in Khan al-Asal and Handarat. In the Latakia countryside, the army defeated terrorist groups from Tunisia and Pakistan, destroying their weapons, which included large amounts of rockets and explosive devices. The governor of Al-Quneitra, Dr. Mans Salah ad-Din, visited the wounded Syrian soldiers in the hospital of Yusuf al-Azmi in Damascus. He expressed appreciation of the medical care given to them by the medical cadre. He also expressed appreciation of the steadfastness of our valiant armed forces whose heroic acts showed their determination to achieve victory. The wounded soldiers asserted their determination to return to the army ranks to continue their march along the way to victory. The Secretary General Ban Ki-moon stressed that getting rid of the chemical weapons in Syria is going on easily in cooperation with the Syrian governorate. During an interview in Paris, Ban Ki-moon also said that the Syrian government was very cooperative, despite the fact that there was not enough assistance by the states for destroying these weapons, pointing out that the third phase will be dedicated for the actual destruction of these weapons. A delegation comprising of teachers' unions and syndicates in Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen and Lebanon is visiting Syria.
A delegation comprising more than 40 officials of teachers' unions and syndicates in Mauritania, Palestine, Yemen and Lebanon is visiting Syria to express solidarity with the Syrian people and the Syrian army. Assistant Regional Secretary of Al-Ba'ath Arab Socialist Party, Hilal al-Hilal, during his meeting with the delegation affirmed that Syria's commitment to Arabism is a point of principle that can never be compromised. Al-Hilal expressed appreciation for the delegation's visit to Syria, underlining the role of teachers in setting facts straight. Grand Mufti of the Republic, Dr. Ahmed Badruddin Hassoun, underlined the role of teachers in raising generations to confront the challenges facing the Arab nation.
We are delivering a message to all the world that Syria will overcome this crisis that it has today. And we are here to say that Syria is the aim of all the forces. If you say that they mean to destroy Syria first, then to overcome all the Arab world. So we here to support Syria under the leadership of Mr. Bashar al-Assad.
Now we are in Syria here and supporting activities that make a solidarity with the Syrian people, Syrian army that now facing a big world war because Syria now is the first support of resistance, the first support of Palestine, the resistance in Lebanon and Palestine that America and some Arab countries, petrodollar countries, want to boycott Syrian because because Syria support this resistance that want to keep our dignity, our honor.
We feel sorry about how they changed the image of Islam, about what they do with these people, about killing innocent people just to destroy the image of Islam. Hopefully soon we will celebrate victory here in Syria, inshallah, soon.
We came to Syria from Yemen and some Arab countries to emphasize that terrorism is a threat to all the Arab nations. So we must support the Syrian army. We stand in solidarity with Syria because Syria is representing the dignity of the Arab nation. The victory is coming soon because of the cohesion of the army and the people.
الجيش والشعب.
Ministry of Health continued to provide vaccines against polio for children and to contain the cases that have emerged recently by launching successive vaccination campaigns. Cooperation with local and international partners has resulted in an overall plan on the national level and on the levels of each governorate. Also, detailed plans were developed on the level of the districts to vaccinate all children against polio. The Ministry of Health has mobilized great efforts for the campaign, which is aimed at vaccinating 2,200,000 children to ensure healthy life for them.
The good thing is that the vaccines have been delivered to all governorates, so they have reached out, and these are the best vaccines that are in the market that has come to Syria, so we will be able to fight the virus. These are specifically targeted vaccines, good vaccines coming from Europe. And we are working with Ministry of Health, with SARC and other NGOs and community-based organizations to make sure that we are getting the vaccines across the country. So it's not only with the government areas, but also to the contested areas. And I'm impressed with the political support to see this as a non-political issue, but an issue to prevent children from being infected by polio. The most important thing is for media now to help to make sure that the parents get the message that they have to vaccinate their children, not only one time, but they have to come repeatedly with their children for vaccination.
Assistant Minister of Social Affairs Wasim Dihni emphasized the importance of developing the legal environment for the work of the people with special needs in order to make them integrate in the society. During the celebration of the World Day for the People with Special Needs, Mr. Dihni pointed out that the current crisis has affected the people with special needs in particular, as many of their centres were systematically destroyed by the terrorists. Board Director of the Employment Opportunities Foundation pointed out that the last 10 years have witnessed global attention to small and medium enterprises, especially in rural areas. Director of the foundation said that the number of projects supported by the foundation has amounted to 21,000 small projects in Tartus, which employed about 100 people with special needs. In Bahrain, Al Khalifa police dispersed Bahraini protesters in different areas ahead of Al Manama Dialogue International Forum on Security in the Middle East. Bahraini sources said that several clashes erupted between police and dozens of protesters in the villages of Al Sanabis, Al Draz, Al Sutra and Al Dia. Police dispersed the demonstrators by using tear gas and sound bombs. In the village of Sa, thousands of people took out into the streets to protest against the crackdowns on the opposition. The protesters held pictures of imprisoned opposition leaders and banners carrying messages to senior officials who will participate in the forum. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching us. For more details about Syria and the region, you can view this bulletin again, and you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. After the break, it's our economic and business news. God bless you all, and victory is Syria's destiny. New considerations. He asserted that Syria would go to the Geneva II conference and that any ideas agreed upon with the opposition would be put for referendum by the Syrian people. After over 2 years of daily terrorist attacks, there was a shy international attitude towards the great human catastrophe. The Turkish TV channel Ulusal, the Prime Minister asserted that Syria was advancing towards victory against terrorism in all its types and launching pads. Mr. Al-Halapi pointed out that Erdogan's government turned Turkey into a party in the aggression on Syria through giving the terrorists shelter and logistic and financial support. He also asserted that many countries that joined the war on Syria were making The UN Secretary General asserts that the operation of getting rid of chemical weapons in Syria continues easily through the full cooperation of the Syrian government. Good afternoon. Welcome to News Bulletin. I'm Dania Nizam. In an interview with units of the Syrian army continue to storm terrorist hideouts, killing large numbers of them, most of them non-Syrians. A comprehensive national plan throughout the country is put into action to save children with vaccines against polio.